welcome back to Bread and Butter, where we are serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. Today is June 9th, 2024, and my name is Tito Santana, and I'm here with two very special guests. We have returning guest and mod from my channel, Pylet. Pylet, how are you tonight?
Doing well.
Fantastic. And we have the Hunt Master himself, Sidisi, back in the house. Sidisi, how are you today?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for having me.
So, what have you been doing inside of Hearthstone, Sid?
Well, lots of different stuff. This is a great month for lots of different formats for Hunter, particularly. So I've been enjoying Standard, Wild, and Twist. So much so that I haven't really climbed to any meaningful ranks with any of them. I've just been kind of playing everything.
Which heroes are you playing in Twist?
Zul'jin's been my favorite, but Bran and Crush are good too. I've been enjoying all of those.
Now, has Crush been doing well? Because I know that they had the hero power, was it six mana, do 8 damage, or you get 8 attack or something?
He's been performing well at my MMR. I haven't played a lot of Arfices at where I'm playing at. I don't think my star bonus is very high, so maybe that helps me. But yeah, no issues. I think you have to, with Crush, you really have to try to play early spells and have a couple good beasts in your hand to discount and get on board early. But yeah, it's a fun deck.
Sense.
I don't know if it's as competitive as the others, but it's a fun deck.
But it sounds like you're having fun with the mode anyway.
Yeah.
Pylet, what have you been up to inside of Hearthstone?
I've also been playing various modes, not as much standard. I enjoy the meta. It's balanced. I have a couple decks I enjoy, but after about 5 games, I just kind of tire of it if I don't have to prepare for something else. So now that our THL season is done, I just haven't played quite as much. I did make it up to D5 today with Chopper DH. That deck is still really good playing. I switched off of the Naga version back to the more aggressive version and just put in the Sock Puppet Slither Spear, which is a really good 1-drop, especially with Spirit of the Team and everything else. But actually been playing more Battlegrounds, got up to 6k rating there, and trying out as many of the Twist decks as I can. Illidan has probably been my favorite so far. I didn't expect that to be a style I enjoyed, but I just really enjoy that deck. It's basically like old fell Demon Hunter with Jace, just crazy, because sometimes everything costs 0. But I've just been bouncing around. I actually just put all the heroes into the Wheel of Name spinner and click it and then play that one. And then after a couple games, switch to something else because that's how I enjoy playing the game. What have you been up to, Tito?
Well, I hit early legend. I think I hit it on day 3, maybe day 3 or day 4, and we came in around, I think, 700. So very happy about that. And I figured I'm going to use this as an opportunity to actually try to get I can't say repair my MMR because my MMR was never that good to begin with, but to actually improve my MMR. So I actually have been playing less of the various modes because I've been trying to, anytime I log into Hearthstone, I want to play standard as I'm playing well and actually make it so I can get a smaller number. So that's been really my primary thing. Although you and I did have an interesting game of duos earlier this week where I had AFK and Pylet had the nameless one. He had the choice of the nameless one. He had a couple of picks. I said, no, let's do it. So we took AFK and the nameless one, and neither of us played a minion for the first 2 turns. And we ended up finding a way to win that game, and it was a lot of fun. There should be an achievement for that, I think. What do you think?
We ended up dominating that game. I think we ended with over 20 health.
Yeah, and I think I ended up having I think we actually had a true duos game where I ended up passing you a lot of the minions you needed, and you passed me a lot of the minions I needed. So It just kind of worked out that way. But it's a lot of fun, and I've been enjoying it. I did play a game of Twist, and I played Norse Dormu, and I'm kind of disappointed with Norse Dormu because they made it so long. You have an entire 30 seconds between turns, and Norse Dormu was supposed to be 15 seconds, and I want that chaos. I want that. I felt like, wait, I have time to make decisions. This isn't Norse Dormu. I want to be able to and run around and just pick things. I think that would have been a little more fun, but I get why they did it. But Sid, what have you been doing outside of this wonderful game of Hearthstone?
Mostly just family stuff and work stuff. It's been pretty hectic, but trying to ramp up the school year and get into summer mode. So that's been pretty busy. I would love to play more Hearthstone, to be honest. Too many things on my to-do list. But yeah, it's nothing bad though.
Fair enough. This is normally where Doc talks for a long time, but not sure where he is right now.
He saw a bear on a hike, probably. He saw some exotic animal on a hike. Would be my guess.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a new gecko that he's added to his collection. How about yourself, Pylet? What have you been doing outside of the game?
Been enjoying the first couple weeks of summer break myself. Our school year finishes before Memorial Day, so took some time to relax and recharge, and then start to catch up on various things that I needed to do that didn't happen during the month of May with concerts. So just some housework, cleaning stuff up, organizing, whatnot. Video game wise, I got back into Diablo 4. I had heard good things about this season and have apparently decided that I'm just going to play Diablo every other season because I completely skipped 1 and 3 and played a bunch of 2 and 4 now. So, but the loot changes and the simplified system I've really enjoyed and have just had a good time getting back into that. Played a couple other smaller games here and there and need to start working on my Steam backlog over the summer while I have some time, which probably won't happen. But I can always pretend like I do every other summer. So what about yourself, Tito?
So before we get to that, I think we're going to start pulling you in possibly to Friday night Civ games, right? So because me and my friend Justin, we play Civ on Friday nights, and Pilot's always there around, and he plays Civ, so I think we're dragging him into that and see what we can do. So that's going to be fun. For me, I switched teams. Now, I know it's Pride Month, but I'm actually talking about I left Hype Horizon, and I am now on AFK, Amber Flight Gaming, the team that Dawn's from. So very excited about that. Great people on there like Ron Mexico, Tyler Knife, this week in Hearthstone. So a lot of people, Itachi, some people we've had on the show, Dankus Dad. So a lot of people that, just good Hearthstone people, but they're more actually, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of Pokemon there. And it's not the Pokemon card game, because that's what I thought that I was going to get in. I was going to learn how to play Pokemon a little bit better, show my son and, whoop his butt. But turns out it's actually some video game where you get 2 Pokemon and there's a whole competition about that. So looking forward to learning a little bit more about that. Outside of that, I started back up at the gym. I'm still a little sore. We went on Wednesday. It's Sunday now, and I'm getting to the place. I didn't want to jump in and overdo it, so I don't do it anymore, because that's what happens. Like, you get all gung-ho and then you hurt something or whatever. So we did I went with my friend Peter, and we did a not chest. We did legs and triceps. And then on Monday, we're going to do chest and biceps and go from there. So plan on doing it 3 days a week. I'm excited about it. I kind of plateaued with my weight loss, so I want to work on that. I'm still doing the job hunting thing, but I'm also doing some personal development. I'm working on a Python class right now, and I'm going to probably get into some Angular, because I think that might be a way to get myself back in the market. But I may be working some other jobs pretty soon that aren't in my field, but we'll see how that goes. It is what it is. But that's not what we're here to talk about. You don't want to hear that much about my life.
We're rooting for you,
I don't want to hear that much about my life. I appreciate that, Sid. But we're talking about today. Our main topic is about finding the fun while we're waiting for the next expansion. Now, I am an oddball. I love the meta right now. I don't love the meta per se, but I like it when it's this last month, and I want to just take this mostly solved meta and improve my play and understand, like, hey, these are the decks that are good. This is what you're going to see. This is the deck I'm playing. I want to hone in. I want to improve my skills, and I just want to get better. And I think overall that's great. That's my mindset. But a lot of people, like, say, Pylet over here, gets bored, and he just says, all right, I'm done. And he starts playing other modes, or he starts playing other decks. And Sid never really sticks to the meta, so he is probably doesn't even notice when it's what month it is, except for when you get the new cards. But how does everybody approach this time of the expansion? Sid, why don't you get us started? What do you do when it gets to be that last month and you're just trying to wait for that next expansion?
think it varies on how excited I am about the expansion, but I do like the solved meta feeling because it's a good time to try to tech against the meta a little more, especially if you're a class specialist like I am. So, what hunter thing can I do that maybe beats some of the good meta decks, right? Or something that kind of gives me an advantage, right? So those things are kind of fun to think through. And like right now, I'm getting dunked on by Paladin repeatedly, so I'm feeling a little bit more motivated to figure out a way to constantly beat Paladins a little better. So that's kind of on my mind. But I also like playing Wild and Twist a little bit too. Once I get where I want with Standard, like I'll probably try to reach Legend before I go too hard on the other modes. But
Fair enough. How about yourself, Pilot? What do you like to do this time of month or expansion?
Yeah, I feel like it varies a lot for me also. This expansion, like I said, I've enjoyed it. There's been plenty of decks I've enjoyed. I just kind of bounced off of it the past month or so, and for whatever reason haven't enjoyed it. I don't know if it's just because of some of the power outliers or because of feel like we've had a whirlwind of balance changes, and now that it's kind of settled, I just haven't been able to get myself back into it because I also normally like finding something off meta and seeing if I can find that deck that kind of attacks the meta and tech it or whatever, but I just haven't had any desire to this time. A lot of times this is when I start to play a little bit more Battlegrounds because a lot of those updates come out, and now that that's balanced out and the kinks are worked out from the new minions, dip into Arena, into now Twist, Duels when it was around, just find other stuff in client. I personally enjoy trying to find different things. If I stick with the same thing too long, then it wears down on me, and I know that I'm going to burn out. But with so many different things inside of the Hearthstone client, it's easy to still play that as a main game and still find something new to do. So if Standard isn't there for me, I can play Battlegrounds. I've played a lot of that, or move to this or move to that. So that's been kind of my approach, and it's made it so I haven't wanted to take a break for quite a while. So it seems to be working so far for me.
And they've done a really good job with that, right? Like they want to keep us in the client, no matter what time of expansion is. They want us to sit down on our computer, and our first instinct is to open up Hearthstone and log into that client and play, because that's how they want that constant engagement. And they've done a really good job, I think, of spacing things out. So if you are somebody that's not just Wild or not just Standard or Battlegrounds, the way the content is spaced out is you have the Battlegrounds comes out and it's not the same time as Standard. It may coincide with a balance patch, but it's not necessarily going to compete for that mode's attention. They are now doing Arena changes, and those come at kind of an odd time, and they are a lot more frequently changing up I guess they're still doing a cube now kind of meta where they have a curated amount of cards, and they go from there. So the changes in Arena have been really good, and from what I understand, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad as far as the card selection, but overall the methodology there has been pretty good. Then they have Twist now, and Twist sounds like it's going to be kind of hit or miss depending. Like we have 2 months on, and then we're going to have 2 months off, and then another couple months on, and then they're off for the rest of the year. But it does seem like they're trying to align it for this period of time where normally people drift away and play other games and get bored because they need something for that gap. And we talked a little bit last week about how are they going to monetize Twist if they're not selling packs like they tried to with Caverns of Time. Like I think that was their original goal was, hey, we can have this mode and we'll have packs that'll be wild packs, but they'll be specifically for this mode, and maybe we'll make money there. And I don't think they saw the results that they were expecting or they wanted to. So then this mode is great. How do they monetize it? I think probably they get some monetization just by keeping us in the client and keeping us engaged. And if we're not opening Hearthstone, then we're not they're not getting a chance to sell us new battle skins and squirrel avatars and whatnot. So I think that's what they're trying to do, and I like the direction that they're going with that.
You're on point, though. I mean, I think you're on point. Like, it's great to have Twist at least be up when things are slower elsewhere, right? That's good timing.
And actually, I don't like it when they do too much at once, because then you want to do X and you want to do Y, and you're like, but which one do I do? And you feel like overwhelmed. There's like not enough time. This is a way to really kind of just, all right, tired of standard. Hey, let's try this twist out, and what are they going on? And I hope that they keep that going on. But our main topic is finding the fun, and we're not just talking about finding yes, all the normal things apply. Things we just talked about. You can play other modes, play other games, read a book, go touch grass. It's do other things. It's healthy to step away from the game when you're burnt out or when you have an opportunity to. That's normal. That's good. I played WoW for, I want to say, since 2005 when I came back. So I came back from deployment. I started playing around 2005, and it was up until last year that I had just been playing constantly. I had barely ever taken more than maybe a month off. And Dragonflight was perfect for me. It had everything I wanted. It had a more complicated crafting system. A lot of the mechanics were good. The raids were fine. I liked a lot of it, but I was just at that point so burnt out, I think, from playing for so long and guild drama and whatnot, that I'm not even sure if I'm going back for the new expansion, just because it's been great to just kind of get away from that. And I don't want that to happen with Hearthstone. But we want to talk about standard. I mean, it may be wild a little bit, but so let's keep it some kind of constructed format, standard or wild, whatever your format is. And let's say you want to keep playing that. How can you find the fun in this last month? So, Sid, what is your real approach here? I know we talked a little bit about this, but you say you want to counter the meta a little bit with Hunter. What are you doing when you're doing this?
So I guess I like to play off meta stuff, right? Where it feels like the gameplay is a little bit more unique or a little bit different than what the meta decks are. Maybe some of the cards are something I perceive to be more fun, right? So, having something like that be competitive and kind of maintain a decent win rate can be a challenge. So, how do you kind of scale things in to account for the meta? So that, maybe you're running maybe a little bit more tech cards than you normally would, but it gives you an edge. Or maybe, for example, I'm running an all out spell deck, right? That's kind of an aggro Reno spell deck. That's my favorite deck to play in this expansion, but it's not that great into hand buff Paladin. Because I can't quite kill them fast enough before they play the Tigress, the little tiger lifesteal thing on me. So I think maybe I need to be a more minion centric deck. Maybe I need to be playing an egg deck or something like that. Maybe I need to change up my package so it's not all spells, but maybe I'm running Posic and some other things that are a little more problematic, or disrupt their game plan a little more, so they're not just hand buffing while I'm kind of ramping up with my spells. So how do I maybe change some packages around so that kind of shifts for me? But I do find, depending on the meta and what decks I'm enjoying. Sorry, my cats are having Rolliseum over here. Depending on what decks I'm enjoying, some metas I take a step back and I don't play quite as much. Maybe I'll play a little more Marvel Snap, or maybe I'll play a little more Wild. Or, if in standard, if I'm getting tilted, I'll just play to a certain number of losses on the day. And if I hit 3 or 4 losses, then I just say, what, I'm just going to try again tomorrow. I get a little superstitious about my variance anyway. So those kind of things I think really help me stay engaged. And I know some people who play on tilt too much, and I think that hurts their joy of the game. Or your Pylet.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it varies depending on the expansion cycle. I was just kind of opening up. I have just a simple spreadsheet of, record and ranks for each season. I was trying to see if there's a correlation with, there's definitely the last month of an expansion because I played 50 fewer games that month. And I don't see too much of that other than there are some of them that just fall in busy times for work and life for me. But I definitely have kind of bounced between doing similar things like you did, where early on in Hearthstone, I liked playing off meta stuff. I liked finding, that kind of mid tier 2 deck and learning it really, really well to play it at, a higher win rate and then not be the targeted deck. I don't like playing the best deck because I don't like having a target on my back. But I played a lot of off meta stuff. I think the first Hearthstone like streamer that I really started watching was Dexter, who was all off meta and pulled a lot of his decks. I think in turn, actually, a lot of your decks that he had gotten, and just finding different stuff to play. And then there's been other times where I was looking towards the end of last year, I think during Titans and towards the end of Titans, I was pushing higher ranks and I was staying top 1K really consistently. So then my goal was, let's see how far can I actually take this? Let's see, where can I maintain a rank at? And then I actually played a lot more because I was focused on the more hyper competitive side of it and played more competitive decks. It helped. I really liked Rainbow Mage. That's very much my style of deck. And I played a bunch of Rainbow Mage that kind of pushed me through. But I feel like for me, it's very meta dependent, but having some sort of goal, whether that's, okay, I'm going to do something wacky, or I'm going to do this thing and do this thing that's going to make me a better player, has helped focus me during that last month and a half where we've seen the same decks over and over again and we're kind of tired of them.
And that's fair. And I think we all know from me, from talking, I do like playing the same decks if I can. I do like trying to... So I get in trouble. I broke down this list into two different things. We have how you spend this last month if you care about your rank, and then how you spend your last month if you don't care about, if you're not worried about it. Not saying you don't care about your rank, you're not worried about your rank. Because I think depending on how that goes, you're going to approach this last month a lot differently than you would if you felt the other way. So Sid, how important is your rank to you?
Not very. But I like to get legend every month. So I try to get there at least. Something that feels unique, but that varies depending on what's going on. But I will typically like twice a year go for 11x and see if I get it, or sometimes I don't, and it's not that big of a deal. But it's cool to have 11x every now and then and have a quicker climb the next month. It's a little harder to do it with, a wacky deck, but sometimes if it feels like I'm cutting the meta right, and I'm winning a lot, then let's just push for it, see if we can get there, because that's a fun kind of achievement to make in the game. But usually it goes the other way and I play some janky thing for too long and, just keep losing with it and find myself at, 10K plus legend. And I'm like, all right, well, we're just going to bounce around with more memes now. Because climbing out is kind of insurmountable at this point with, maybe there's only a few days left in the month or whatever.
How about yourself, Pylet?
I typically have a floor that I don't like going below, just because then things get a little bit too wacky. Even though I like playing off meta, I like knowing what I'm playing against, because I'd rather be on that side than the other side. So I've had a couple times where, I typically stay between the 2,000 to 4,000 range. A couple times where I've been busy or just had a really bad month, fall down into 8K, and then it's just such a slog sometimes getting back up because you're running into everybody who really wants to play this 45% win rate deck, and it just happens to beat you, and then you tilt off the game even faster. And I learned that very quickly. I'm like, okay, if I get down there, I'm picking this deck, I'm going to climb back up and get out of there and then go back to my normal ways. But I don't care about hitting a certain rank every month. I don't care too much about hitting 11x. I'd like to. I had a streak where I was maintaining it for a little bit, and I kind of want to see, can I maintain that level of play? But I also know that I have a couple times during the year where I have a month and a half. It's really hard for me to play, which makes it really difficult to maintain that. If I can barely get in, 100 to 150 games a month, I'm not going to maintain a top 1K rank. It just isn't going to happen because I don't have time. So I kind of pulled away from that a little bit, but still don't like falling too far.
That's fair. So I guess when you happen to run into Sidisi on the ladder, then whoa, I've fallen a little too far and you want to adjust. Obviously, just kidding, Sid.
Yeah, careful down there. It's dangerous. You never know what those off-meta people are doing.
A couple weeks ago, or at the end of May, I saw Wicked on my friend list, and his rank was getting kind of close to mine. I was like, Wicked, what are you doing down here in my neighborhood? It's too wacky down here. You're not gonna like it. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm trying to get out of it as fast as possible, and he did. He got way back up to where he was.
I think we all dropped down there at the same time because I saw him down at the same rank I was. I'm like, oh no, we're really in trouble. I think that was the Reno Warrior just overrunning ladder and is either play the mirror or be miserable. Well, is be miserable both ways. And it's just like, I need to get away from this. And I say that as someone who brings that weird off meta stuff, because outside of Shopper DH, my most played deck the past month and a half has been Wishing Well Rogue, which is also not meta and very much that rank bracket type of deck. It just has been working for me.
I was about to say, Tito, you're a toxic rank shamer, man. Giving Wicked Good a hard time about his rank.
No, because I know where he belongs, and it does not near me. But
yeah, okay, all right. Sorry to interrupt you.
And no, that's what we're here for. So for me, I know that I try to play it both ways, and I can't have that because my goal is I'm trying to build up a stream, and I want to build up a community, and smaller number helps with that, but also seeing recognizable names helps with that as well. So if I'm seeing Fire Breather 79986X, no one cares about that. But if I occasionally am seeing people like SidisiTV, Wicked Good, Kibler, or better, people that are up there, that helps me. That helps people. Hopefully they see me play against them. And if they, hey, that person had a cool deck, or that person had a really good victory, and they're a streamer, and maybe that gets me some more followers. So I have not a business related reason for this, but there is the goal of trying to grow my stream and all that. So I want to get a big number, but then I also want to make Black Rock and Rule Warrior work. So I say, hey, you know what? I've tried a few different times where I've said, I'm not going to worry about my rank. We're just going to play this deck. We're going to figure out, we're going to have fun. And then like 3,000, 4,000 ranks later, I'm just like, I regret my choices. So it's tough. It's weird. And over the last few months, I've been quietly fixing my MMR. I've been a little better each month, I think, and I'm still down there, but I'm trying to, with consistency, get there. So I'm going to avoid doing those things. In fact, I've started up a couple accounts on a couple different servers. I'm playing on EU and Asia as well, with the concept of, hey, if there's a deck I want to play, if I really want to play Dancing Paladin, I can go over there and play Dancing Paladin, even though apparently for about 30 seconds, Dancing Paladin was good because Pocket Train figured out a deck that was good for a couple days. But I don't think that ended up panning out long term. But I can't do it. Like I see my number going down, and if it's because I'm playing poorly or if it's because I've had some bad variants, that's one thing. But if I'm playing a bad deck or if I'm trying something new and it's just not clicking, it just bothers me so much right now, and I can't do it. So I am focused in the camp of trying to get better. And let's talk about how to maybe play this month, this final month of an expansion. We assume the expansion's coming sometime, in July-ish? Maybe August, but probably July.
You should meme around on your climb more, Tito. You should. The climb to legend is the time to meme because you hit the rank floors, and you can play your Black Rock and Roll deck when you're plat 5, or when you get to your next rank floor. That's what you
and
gotta
I do
man.
that. I do that, but when I do that, it takes me a couple weeks to get to legend. Whereas if I play the deck that I played to the last few weeks of the last month, then I have a better month. And at the longer it takes, and this is me, this is my own, whatever, but the longer it takes me to hit legend, when I start getting down to like the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, I start getting worried because I don't want to not make legend anymore. I play way too much to not make legend. So when it starts getting down, then it starts getting in your head and you're like, ooh, maybe I'm not as good as I think because I don't think I'm a bad Hearthstone player. I think I'm a decent Hearthstone player. I don't think I'm great. I'm trying to get to a better spot, but I think I'm good enough to make legend every month now. I feel confident about that, but I'm not owed legend every month. I still have to earn legend every month. And when I have those months where I can't get there, it's like I keep, bouncing from 5 to 2 to 4 to 1 to 5. And it's just like, it drives me nuts. So I agree with you. And I do that. I do meme on the climb sometimes, but sometimes I don't either. It depends on kind of how I'm feeling. And I think what do you think, Pylet? The last like 3 months, I've been really kind of focused on just playing real decks.
I think so. I think April, like the last week of April, you sent me a message saying, "Give me all of your weird decks. I've given up on this month. Let's just go." And that's when I find all the stuff at the bottom of the list of my collection that I haven't dared to try quite yet, and send them to Tito to test. And normally they go as expected.
Well, no. So what normally happens is Pylet wins 3 games with the deck and he sends me the code. And
Yes.
then I lose 3 games. And while I lose 3 games, he's also lost 4 games. So that doesn't work. Or then he gives me a deck saying, I want Tito to try this. And I'll go like 4-1, and then he'll go like 0-6. So
Yep.
there's always something. And we call those Pylet program decks. So it's always just fun. And I want to get back to there, but I really just want to get, fixed. But one thing I'm going to try to focus on this month or the next month is I'm going to keep playing good decks for the most part, but I'm going to try to work on the things that we've talked about the last few episodes. I'm going to work on planning out my turns a little better. I'm going to try to avoid silly mistakes like, I don't know, playing your deckhand, then swinging with weapon and saying, oh, I did not swing with my deckhand. Come on. Tito, you know better. But I still do it all the time. So trying to get rid of those and just kind of evaluate where the holes in my game are. And I think we've all had months where it's just you're playing these games and you have matchups and you're like, I should be winning this, or you're having just a little bit of a down streak and you're just like, I can't figure out how to win. Like, what happens? So try to evaluate your game and find the holes, plug them up and whatnot. And like we said, I also try playing on the alternate accounts. Like, I have played so much buff Demon Hunter, buff Death Knight on my other 2 accounts because I find that deck so much fun. It's missing something. There's something not there that deck needs to be competitive. But I love taking the Puppeteer, was it Master Puppeteer, and getting the mini of it and sticking something between them and Death Growl, and then getting like this like 18-20 Hollow Hound and the Quillbore that shoots at everything at the end of the turn. I love making these gigantic big things, but it's just not a competitive deck. So I'm saving all of that for my alt accounts. I also think that a good time, if you're worried about your rank, spend more time watching streamers. I think that could help because I watch a lot of streamers. I do, but a lot of times I'm doing like 16 other things or I'm working or I'm playing Hearthstone myself or whatever. I'm not focused. So if you actually take the time and watch, Pocket Train play his decks, you may not be able to play a deck like Pocket Train, but you'll be able to maybe pick up things. Oh, I always do this, or I always mulligan like this. Why is he doing that? And you might learn things. So if you're really focusing on your rank and you want to be engaged in Hearthstone, maybe try watching some more streams, or maybe even enter some tournaments. Like Mobius is a thing that has, I think you could log in right now to Mobius and there'd be a tournament that's trying to fill up. They're pretty easy to go, and it's not like you're getting in to make a lot of money or anything. It's for fun and test, but that's very skill testing and you work on skills. It's a different muscle to exercise, but it's a lot of fun. So Sid, if you are, so we know you said you meme, and we know you said refine, but if you're saying I want to focus on improving, do you ever do that? Do you ever say like, I feel like maybe I need to sharpen my knives a little bit? Like, what do you do there?
Yeah. So usually for me, it's about focus. So if I want to be serious, I really need to rein in my focus. I make a lot of silly mistakes when I'm not focused, but I play when I'm doing chores and cooking, and sometimes I'll play Marvel Snap at the same time, or I'll be doing all kinds of random stuff at the same time. And it's easy to play when you're distracted, but if you really want to optimize your win rate and climb most effectively, you need to be more focused, right? So that's one thing I try to rein in. I also try to think more about what my opponent's going to do, and try to think through, the aspects of my turn a little more closely. I think that some of that comes with focus too, but sometimes I'm just kind of executing my game plan and I'm not thinking too much about what my opponent is going to do or what they have done. So that's something I try to really kind of just spend 10 or 15 seconds on my turn thinking about on their turn, if I'm really focused. But yeah, I mean, and obviously I agree with you in watching people who are better at the decks you play. Like I love going to watch Ron Mexico play Hunter, because he's usually, he's always playing a top legend, and he is sometimes making different plays than I would have made. So that's super interesting to watch.
Yeah, he is excellent to watch. And yeah, it's just, even if it's not somebody playing a style, especially if it's not somebody playing a style of deck you play, that can be useful too. Because if you're losing to Zarimi Priest, and you don't want to play Zarimi, the best way to kind of learn these decks is to play them, and then figure out how you lose and figure out how you win. And then you can translate that to when you're playing against them. You're like, I know how they lose. I know how they win because I've done it. But if you don't want to play Zarimi Priest, watch somebody playing Zarimi Priest. There are tools in HS Replay and what's he calling himself? Donkey.top, and now it's Hearthstone Guru, HS Guru, I think.
Yeah. It can also influence your mindset a little bit, where like sometimes I'll play against Buff Paladin. I'm like, man, I'm getting crushed here. What's going on? Like, is this a bad matchup? And if you kind of sit down and look at HS Replay for your deck and see what your good and bad matchups are, I feel like that can shape your mindset a lot. And if you are, if you know you're queuing into a bad matchup and you lose, it doesn't feel as bad if you kind of feel more informed about what's going on. And maybe if you're queuing into the same bad matchup for all the time, maybe you consider a different deck. But I feel like that's an important part too, just to know what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And the distraction part, like I have the same thing. If I know I'm going to be distracted, I'll queue at Battlegrounds. And if I'm like cleaning or whatnot, because I know I have an opportunity to, if I lose at Battlegrounds, I don't care. But I also can, do something, walk away, come back. And it's not like I'm worried about what my opponent's done. Really, I should be at Battlegrounds, but I'm not. I'm just, doing I'm usually focused on my own little bubble. But I try to be less distracted. I think I said this last week or the week before. It's like I'm playing Hearthstone and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be focused now. I shut down Twitter, and then I look at my turn, I evaluate things, and I look at things, and then okay, I take the end of my turn, and then okay, it's my turn again. Let me shut down Twitter, and I need to just keep Twitter shut down, and I need to, I have other streamers popped up while I'm streaming as well, and I'm already have enough, focus while I'm streaming, so it's getting that focus. But that's a whole nother topic. I think we're kind of going down a little side trail here. Pylet, how about yourself? What do you do when you're trying to just kind of improve in this like last bit of time?
Yeah, I think, and obviously this is something that's going to vary a lot from person to person. We all have strengths in our gameplay. We all have weaknesses, and those are going to be different for everybody. Finding what your thing to improve on next, I think, is super important. And if you're not sure, then find somebody who can help point it out. Find friends who play Hearthstone that can spectate you, or send them replays and say, hey, what did you notice? Or some communities have replay channels. Coin Concede has one that is used all the time for people to say, I think I misplayed this game. What could I have done differently to set myself up better? And that's a great way to get better, because now you're not just getting your own thoughts about the game and your own, hindsight. you're getting from 4, 5, 6 different people that are possibly your rank, possibly higher rank, possibly lower rank, but getting all these different mindsets. For me, I noticed my play started to go to the next level when I started thinking a lot more about what my opponent was going to do. Where as I was making my plays, one thing that I always thought of and tried to do was say, what is the way I can make this the most awkward for my opponent to deal with? So that's the way that I thought of it, to be proactive. I was playing a lot of aggressive decks or proactive decks. And what can I do to make this as awkward as possible? How do I play around a Defile? How do I play around a Blade Storm? What can I do to make this awkward for them? And then it also got me thinking more about what they could do. And then I started looking and seeing what plays they were actually making and seeing, oh, I didn't think of that. Or, oh, that's not what I would have done. And then you start seeing those little, ideas from their play that, you wouldn't have done. Or you start seeing things that you realize are, oh, that's a misplay from my opponent. That's, unless you don't know something in their hand, but sometimes you can notice those little things. And that's where I started noticing that I was getting better, because I was noticing those little minor things for my opponent's side of the board and then being able to play into those a little bit better. And that goes with, planning your turns, avoiding mistakes. You're always going to have something. There's always something that you can improve at. You don't play a perfect game ever. There's always probably something you could do better, but finding ways to stay consistent is how you improve.
And that's fair. And there's a difference between anticipating your opponent's play, like you said, and also making it awkward for them. Because if all you're doing is anticipating, that's kind of almost tilting, right? Because if you're just like, oh, here comes ENR, here comes the Priest Titan, here comes that stupid legendary from Death Knight that runs into my guy, steals it, and I have 2 14/14s and I forgot about that. And that's one kind of anticipation, but the other one is actually, okay, I know this is coming. They probably have it, so how do I get around it? What can I do at least to make it more difficult for them to do? And that's a skill that, is hard to do. And I think what we've just basically been talking about is like what we talk about for almost every bread and butter episode ever is, these are all things that you need to be focused on and to get better. And we have these individual topics we'll talk about, but they all come together. But this is all about if we care about your rank. But what if you don't care about your rank? I'm going to say that even if you don't care about your rank, if you want to get better at Hearthstone, everything we just said still applies. You can still do all of that even if you don't care if your goal is to just hit Diamond 5 or I wouldn't say hit Bronze 10, if like even Platinum or whatever. If your goal is just improve a little bit, but you don't really care how far you get, or if you're not really worried about your legend rank, you get to legend rank, and as soon as that happens, you just switch to meme decks. You still probably want to get better at the game, so all those things still apply. But I think there's a lot of other things you can still do. One thing I'm surprised I don't do, honestly, because I did this in WoW obsessively, is hunt achievements. I love achievements in WoW. I would do the stupidest things that they have, where it's like go pet every rabbit in every continent or whatever it might be, some stupid thing. I would do it, and it would be a waste of time, but I would do it anyway. So I was so happy when Hearthstone added achievements, but I have not chased that. I have not chased it. I'm very surprised about that, but that's something you can do. There are people out there that their main Hearthstone mode is completing the achievements. And I think that's awesome because, it's just a whole different way to think about it. And a lot of those achievements can be really weird, or some of them are repetitive, do this 100 times, but some of them are, make sure you get 7 cards drawn from this particular effect or whatever. And those are fun to get. Do either of you guys do achievements or care about achievements?
I don't go out of my way to do them unless there's some reward I really want. But it is cool to see them pop up randomly when I'm not expecting them to, because I did something. And I do like that the new system really lets you check some of your stats, right? Like I can see how many times I've hit someone with steady shot. Like that's insane after playing Hunter for so long. So those kind of things are really cool.
How for yourself, Pylet?
Yeah, I'm about the same way. I don't actively chase them. Sometimes I'll find one where I'm playing the deck anyway, so if I know I'm getting close to it in the game, I'll try to push for it, but I don't try to actively chase them, because there's some of them that come naturally with playing, like, do this 200 times, and that's just going to happen by playing the deck. But there's some of them that are crazy, like, I think one for this expansion is for the Death Knight, Rambunctious Stuffy, the puppy that gets reborn every time you play a frost spell. And to have that resummon like 7 times in a game, you have to specifically build a deck for that, I feel like, or get really, really lucky. I'm not chasing that.
That's fair. I don't remember what expansion they came out, but you had those Warlock cards that would shuffle into the deck. Curses, I think they were curses.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I hit like the 3rd tier of that achievement on day 1. And sometimes it's funny because you see an achievement and you're like, wow, I've been doing this a lot. Or I've been playing this deck a lot because all of a sudden I've hit this like stupid number achievement type thing. But yeah, I mean, the achievements are there. If that's your thing, those are fun. Another thing you could do is, we talked about this a little bit, but if you don't care about your rank, that's the perfect time to play things that are out of your comfort zone. If you're an aggro player and you just don't understand control, or you don't like control, maybe not like, but if you need to get some reps under control to understand how to beat them, like we were saying, you play control, you can figure out how they win, how they lose a little bit more because it happens to you. That's the perfect time right now. This month or the rest of this month, maybe early July, is the perfect time to do that kind of thing, because who cares? You don't care about your rank. Actually, I guess if you don't care about your rank, it's the perfect time to do it whenever, right? But like, don't be afraid to play those other decks and try to figure them out. I know we have Sid here who will refuse to play, I think, just about any other deck, at least on stream. You play everything but Priest, though, right? Am I wrong about that when it's not on stream?
Right. I like to, I'm trying to get all my non-hunter classes golden. So I still have a few to go, and I'm doing that in wild mostly. But that's, yeah, like I've got a Death Rattle Demon Hunter with Renathal and Reno in it. And I'm playing that while I cook a lot, because it's just kind of mid-range. You just play a minion every turn, and it's got like the Titan and the Colossal and it's got all the good cards in it. It's mostly legendaries. But yeah, some stuff like that. But mostly for fun, when I'm less focused.
How about yourself, Pylet?
Yeah, I think I've gone to different decks just kind of naturally. Natural progression the past like year. A lot of that started with me getting into THL, and also playing a little bit more conquest style, just because I had to learn different decks, and that got me into. I never played combo. I didn't like combo because I didn't like facing it. A lot of that being because one of the first like big combo decks I remember from when I started playing was that Il'gynoth Demon Hunter. I despised playing that deck because I hated that what I lost to also full healed them every single time if they didn't just kill me with it. So I just didn't like combo. And then I started playing Rainbow Mage and Nature Shaman. And I'm like, okay, maybe I do enjoy this style. I still haven't gotten too much into control other than the Warrior from the past couple months here and there, just because I don't like sitting there not doing a whole lot. I get very bored playing a very control-based game plan. If it's a slower game plan that I'm doing stuff, I'm fine with that. But full attrition control is definitely not something that I've done and probably won't do. But we'll see. Who knows?
That's fair. And now, speaking of what Sid was talking about, this is, so you said you made some Demon Hunter deck with Death Rattles and Renathal and whatnot. This is like the perfect time, if you don't care about your rank, to work on your deck building skills. Try to what classes aren't in the meta right now? Maybe you can figure something to improve, like mages at 40-45%. I think they're, I mean, who knows? I don't know off the top of my head, but what class is the worst? Can you make it viable? Can you find something that maybe you can find a deck right now that can beat Buff Paladin, the worst class, and find your own niche. And one of the nice things about building your own deck is a lot of times, if it works enough, people don't expect it. Like they'll mulligan for the something else or whatever. So this is an opportunity to just kind of maybe try different things with deck building. Maybe you can try to make some crazy combo to work like that. hey, I always wanted this thing to happen, or if I play this and do this and I get all this. Before we got serious and tried to work on our rank, we tried a bunch of random stuff in my stream. Like I said, Black Rock and Roll Warrior, never quite got there. We tried to make this one deck work where it was a Demon Hunter, and we had an instrument tech, I think it was, and we tried to make it so that way you would have an instrument tech, which was whenever your weapon broke, it would equip another weapon. And we tried to get that comboed. Instrument Smasher. And we tried to get that comboed with going down swinging, and I think a couple other things that was there. And it was a cool concept. I spent, I don't even know how long trying to make what was the Demon Hunter weapon that you would swing it and you would burn their deck, or you would draw a card for every time you drew a card or something. I forget what it was. It was
Glavetar, the
Glavetar
Outcast support card.
Yeah, it was every time you played an Outcast card, the number of cards you drew grew up by 1. I spent so much trying to make that work with Tony, so I would get as many draws as I could. Then I would use Tony to switch decks, and then I would swing, and then I would burn all their cards. And I got it to work like once out of so many games, but it was fun when it did. And this is the perfect time to try to do that stuff. Maybe there's just a card or a couple cards or a package that you really want to play with that hasn't been good right at all. Maybe it has been irrelevant this whole time. Do it now. Figure it out. Maybe you can make something that no one's thought about. Or maybe I think a lot of times packages or cards that people initially play with, they just forget about them because, this wasn't strong in the first week or two. And then they just kind of get to the bottom of the toy chest. Maybe now's the time to pull some of those out and see if they're working now, because a bunch of decks have been nerfed, a bunch of cards have changed. And I think people think about them again when the expansion comes around, because it's like, remember this guy would do that and all that. But I don't think they think about him now, because why would they think about him now if, 2 months ago they weren't good and no new cards have been introduced. So, I mean, that's an opportunity right there. You can also play other people's off-meta decks if you're not a deck builder. You don't want to deck build. Some people don't like to do that. You got people like Funky Monkey at Always, Sidisi, who is I like playing a lot of. I've brought some of your decks to THL. Were you the creator of the deck that me and Pylet were playing last week? I told Pylet if he brought it to THL, I'd bring it to THL. It was an Egg Hunter with Hodir.
Well, I was advocating to get Hodir to work with Replicator and Ator, if that's the card we're talking about.
No, we were trying to make it work with Egg Hunter, because then you'd get these gigantic eggs and what was the concept? Was there something else?
Yeah, you can put egg in that. Yeah.
I just ran into somebody playing on a ladder.
If you see Hodir, it's a Replicator and Ator deck. They're going to try to kill you with Southsea Deckhand or 4/8/8 Huffers. There's an OTK. Yeah. But the interaction had to get updated after it got released. So it's newer.
I had to ask Donkey today to let me borrow a deck with Replicator and Ator on the EU server, because otherwise I was never going to get through that achievement. And I just wanted to get through the quest to get the cards. I was like, can I borrow a deck? He's like, yeah, I got to make one. but we did that today.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, this is a great time to play Funky's decks. This is a great time to play Sid's decks if you like Hunter. This is a great time. Edel comes up with a lot of decks. Edel actually comes up with a lot of decks that are almost meta in a way that looks like it's like the meta deck, but a little different. Like Sid, you do whatever. Like you play off meta decks, you're creative and all that. And so is she, but she makes decks that are like, hey, this is this deck, but like here's that slight little different twist to it. And I kind of like a lot of times when she does that. And Funky, he just does whatever. I also like playing Mark McKay decks because they have wacky combos, and I first saw him post his win percentages, and I didn't know who he was, and they were horrendous because he spends like hours upon hours trying to make these dumb combos work. And I didn't know. I was like, would you like some coaching? Because I mean, I think I can help you. I didn't know or something, but yeah, he does a lot of interesting things. But I mean, the key really is just if you're not worried about your rank, even if you are worried about your rank, have fun. If you're not having fun, then what are you doing? This is a game. if winning is fun to you, or if getting better is fun to you, great. If that doesn't matter, great. And if it means, again, we're giving you ideas how to stay within the client and stay with standard or wild. But if that doesn't work for you, play other modes. Hades 2, I heard is really good. I'm going to play it tomorrow. Try other games. Again, or maybe just sit down. Both during this podcast, both of our guests here had lots of cat action happening with them. Pylet's cat wants to be a podcast host, and Sid's cats, I think, are brawling and having a lot of fun with it. So, yeah, play with your pets, watch some TV, focus on something else, read a book, play chess. I don't know, whatever it matters to you. And if you're worried about the fact that maybe if you took a break, you wouldn't come back, is that a bad thing? If that's what's holding you on to play right now and saying, I don't want to not play right now because if I don't, I might not come back, then maybe that's a sign that you need to take a break from Hearthstone. So, I mean, just, it's different for everybody and no one's going to work the same. So, you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just become a content creator. Then you have this extra pressure to always be engaging with it. See, then you never have to worry about taking a break.
There you go. Good plan. And if
horrible life advice.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can always switch genres and watch your numbers drop. How about yourself, Pylet? You got any final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think the two things that come to mind the most are, one, if you are looking for other modes, BGs is a lot of fun right now. BGs is in a really good spot, especially if you are someone who likes to power level. The tier 5 and 6 minions are really good and really fun right now, and I think that's been my strategy that's been working. But also, if you're playing and you care about your rank, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I remember from Coin Concede is rank is a byproduct of skill. If you're trying to focus on your rank and you're only focused on the number, then it's not going to go well for you, most likely. You have to focus on what actually makes that number change. And I feel like we did a good job talking about that, of making sure that you're focusing on these skills and these things to improve, rather than just, I keep dropping ranks. Yeah, you're going to, because you're going to tilt, because you're not focused on what actually makes that happen. So that's a huge thing that I think a lot of people lose, especially at this time in the expansion.
And we talked about this recently as well. I had a 5-digit legend rank again last month, but I played at above 500 clip in legend. So I played better than I had, so, and I'm slowly moving that in the right direction. So as long as you focus on how you're playing in the games and how you're doing overall, then your number is going to improve on its own. Don't worry about it. Like it's, I know it sometimes can be demoralizing, but if your MMR is what it is, even if you're winning, people are coming in ahead of you because they have better MMRs, and that's harder to maintain. So, just focus on if you're a stat person, I pull up HS Replay all the time and look at, hey, I'm 71 and 35, and I'm only not losing against Mage, and maybe I got to figure out how to beat Mage. You got all those tools, but I mean, we can take all these tangents. This is just ADHD brain taking over. It was a lot of information, but I think we got a little time for dessert if you guys are up for it. So we normally ask Sid. I don't know, Sid. Did we ever ask you? Because this might have been a question before we might have come up with this question before you, after you came on for the first time. But what is your favorite dessert?
Big fan of pie. Pies with fruit.
Oh, very nice. Do you have a particular favorite fruit?
I'll go with blueberries or raspberries. Those are probably my favorites for pie.
Fantastic. All right, so I have my question here. Normally we have another question if we've already asked that question. I just wasn't sure if I had asked you that. What are your guesses for the next expansion?
Guesses for theme? Is that what we're asking?
Yeah, theme of the next expansion. What do you think is going to be?
All I can think about is what hunter cards I want. But I don't know. Maybe we're like in a volcano or something this time. Is there a WoW expansion where they're in a volcano?
Ungoro. There's a whole crater with. It's kind of.
We already did that then, huh? We're actually in the volcano though. this time. Maybe there's a whole nother habitat in there.
All right. Pylet, what do you think?
So I don't know WoW at all because I didn't play. But I did find the little preview image that they put up, and if we're in a volcano, it's a very tropical looking volcano.
Oh, okay. I forgot about the teaser image. Okay.
Yes. But I'm wondering, since they talked about doing stuff with, trying to look back at the past and look to the future with being the 10-year anniversary, there's a paper on there that looks a little bit like a map. So I wonder if we are doing something either with Unguro or, the explorers in some way. That would be my guess.
I'm thinking along the similar lines. It wasn't like this was the 10th anniversary set. It was Whizbang's workshop, and it's the 10th anniversary year. So I'm wondering if that kind of nostalgia is supposed to last all year, and they're going to make it. So I'm thinking that maybe the next one will be Heroes on Vacation, or something, and we get like kind of a vacation themed set where you get like I don't know, Rand Sunbather or something, and we get all kinds of weird things like that. And I think the last set, I know I didn't ask that, but I think the last set will be some kind of big out war between everybody or something, maybe, or even Horde versus Alliance again or something like that. That was a lot of fun when they did that, where they had they kept track of who played Vandar and the other one, and one was Horde, one was Alliance, and at the end there was like a big tally. So I thought that was interesting. So I think they'll do something along those lines too, but who knows? I certainly don't. Oh, there's a teaser right there. Someone put it in the show notes. Thank you, Pylet. And the third one is actually celestial. It's got like the stars. It looks kind of Algalon-ish. So who knows? Sid, where can people find you on social media?
SidisiTV, SIDISI TV. And pretty much anywhere. Or you have a Linktree page on my Twitter, so you can check that out. All the spots. But I mostly just stream and tweet a lot about Hunter things. So if you like playing Hunter or like trying to find ways to beat Hunter, you should probably drop me a follow. So,
and if you like to make fun of Priest,
yes, I'm a bit of a Priest hater, but I have Priest friends, so I try to keep it professional here.
How about yourself, Pylet? Where can people find you on the social medias?
You can find me at Pylet712. That's PYLET on Twitter. And then also in various Hearthstone Discords, Coin Concede, Squelch, those different places on there, kind of lurking, posting various things. How about yourself, Tito?
You can find me on Tito Santana HS on both Twitter and Twitch, and probably pretty soon, maybe even TikTok and Instagram or something like that. We're going to try to expand a little bit, so I'll let you know about that. But Sid, you got any shout outs this week?
Shout out to Tito for being amazing and putting on an awesome podcast and bringing me on again.
That. How about yourself, Pylet?
I am going to shout out the group that we have called ourselves the best Overwatch team ever, which would be myself, Storm Rage, Scoob Supreme, Diego, and Gingersaurus. They want Scoob and Storm Rage normally play Overwatch on Scoob's channel every Thursday night, and they wanted to put together a full 5-stack and asked me to join. So I put it on my computer because I normally play console, and it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. We started to get on a roll at the end, so had a lot of fun playing with them and look forward to doing it again.
And it sounds like you guys were all of a similar build. I'm going to thank Tyler Knife, who is a new teammate of mine, but also a fantastic person. And he actually donated a lot of subs to my channel, and I'm 95% sure it was my first ever hype train. So I appreciate you, Ty. Thank you. It was great. But guys, and I definitely want to thank Sid and Pylet for coming on this week. It's always good to talk to people about Hearthstone, and that's what the show's about. So thank you so much. But guys, I think we're toast. We'll see ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.